Let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. It is September the 12th, 2014, and no September 11th attacks that I can see around the globe. The news out of Ukraine and the Middle East is quiet. The United States' Obama's ISIS speech has met really pretty much with rejection around the globe, and everybody sees it as not even really quite tit for tat. So the United States has painted itself into a corner where, given, watch what a person does, not what they say, where it's going to be hard to get overt support for our Middle Eastern policies. Russia came out and said, be careful, United States. You're going to make this war situation a lot worse if you follow out what you outlined in your speech the other night. So it's never easy when you are in a leadership position. Sometimes you have to make unpopular, tough decisions, and by trying to have it both ways, look like you're taking strong action but not really doing a hell of a lot, Obama got a very predictable result. Britain and Germany said they will not join in the airstrikes against Syria, and nobody with standing armies in the Middle East has raised their hands saying we're going to put boots on the ground. So we're left with training the Kurds, training the Iraqis, but it takes time. And then trying to decapitate ISIS with missile strikes or bombs, and that also takes time too. So not a lot has changed. The status quo around the globe, as untasteful as it is in some spots of the world, was maintained. Okay, we left yesterday's note market saying that the financials saying that this market is pointed lower. We're not getting any lift, and you can see right here that volume held. We did not build volume above that mode right there, and this is the controlling mode. This is the one that's setting the action. If we put all of this together, it's a very, very strong B, and here's a mom, or move out of the middle, starting a new distribution lower. In the overnight session, all the volume, all the activities in the bottom half of the distribution, so it's a B pattern, and that should lead to a retest of the London low and or lower prices. Now, the one thing that we have going for potential support today is that it is settlement day, and that usually leads to a trading range day. So I think we're pointed lower. I think we're going to get stops below the overnight session low. I don't know if we can really break the market this morning. The news focus is retail sales, called up 0.6. As we said yesterday, if as forecast, supportive for equities, not so for financials. X-Auto +3. This will be the market's focus. Then we have import-export prices. No one will pay any attention to them. So inflation, based on these two numbers, is not a factor. Michigan sentiment at 83.4, according to Econoday, which has the largest following as far as economic projections go, and business inventories at +0.4, which no one will pay any attention to. So this is your number one news focus, and that's your number two. And as those two numbers go, so will today's trading. Our first sell is 11 to 15. Could live with a 9.5. Leaning against this volume right here, our second sell is 19 to 23. Don't see how we can get to our S2 level. On the buy side, I'm a little bit torn. We've got this volume down here in this 4 to 6 area. Because I think we're headed lower, I'm going to give it a little bit room, and the news is forecast to be strong, economic news. So we're going to try to, we'll put 29s to 01 as buy one. But if the news is contrary to expectations, it may take a 5 to get in. And if it's well below the forecast, the single just rally on that particular news. Second buy will be 25 to 21. So we got a Newsday trade this morning when you get right down to it. Okay, looking at the bond, it's been weaker. The knob spread came in. That's been our hint this week that the market was probably pointed lower, not higher. And you can see when we do our splits right that we had a new distribution start at 37.10, and we've sold since then. So we've got volume at 24, 23 to 27 will be our first sell, and some of we're a little more aggressive here because of the knob spread contraction than 36 to 03. They're taking it down in front of the news, so the news is expected to be weaker than forecast. So we'll make 5 to 9 buy one. I mean, if the news is as forecast, it'll signify economic strength. Fed can raise interest rates sooner rather than later. Sell financials now. I put a chart up, some of the news this morning. Right now, with low interest rates, our annual interest rate cost with all this damn money we've borrowed is $240 billion. If interest rates get back to their historical norms, about 2.5 points above where they are right now on average for the portfolio, interest costs jump to $900 billion a year. And that's why the Fed really can't materially raise interest rates, nor any other country out there that has used debt to keep their social welfare spending programs going. That's the reality, and that's going to hold over or hang over the markets. You can't get away from it. So the Fed's really in a tough spot. They want to inflate the price of housing to get back people most of the world's normal source of wealth, and they've been successful up to a point in doing that, especially in the areas where homes lost 50% or so of their value. But they haven't been able. I mean, Wichita home prices are pretty much where they've been, but we never suffered the bust either. So outside of your 4 big states, okay, we came in yesterday wanting to buy the 35, 37 area and 25 to 27, so we'll make it 28 to 30 for buy 2. 33, 35, just where we are right now. On the sell side, we left yesterday wanting to sell 43, 46, and we didn't get it, so 40, 42 is sell 1. That's just resistance. That's where it is. I think we're headed down to the 1217, 1220 area, and 45, 47 for sell 2. Now, because of all the selling that we've had, if we don't break the lows, then end of the week short covering is a possibility, and that should get us back maybe even as high as 50. So we want to get short, want to try the low. If we can't break it, then we can cover and start looking for a place to get long. Okay. Yeah, not much has changed, Charles. I mean, it's just that's where we are. The pattern that I'm keying off of is post-auction. It tends to sell for a week to set up the next auction. So I don't think the bottom falls out of the market, like I said when I started, but I think we are pointed lower right now. Normally, today is a settlement day, we'd expect a trading range. We would not trade lower. We'd be sideways from yesterday's action, but we are lower. So, yeah, it has been selling since before that, and we've been on the short side of the market since the selling started too. If you go back and look at your F1 screens and check out what our calls have been, we like the short side better, and it's not too difficult to like the short side better, since we got to move out of the middle at the end of August. So we've liked the short side of the market, and we've thought about getting long during auctions because the Fed has to support the market, and they can't move as much paper as they need to move if the market's going straight down. So I'm with you. I don't think we've got enough to bust the lows down here in the 22, 16 to 23 area. I don't think anything is that much has changed either. Okay, where were we? Glad to see you got your thinking cap on, Charles. You are making lots of progress. Okay, here's the euro. Like I said, we love to sell in the 50 area. We have been doing fairly well buying at 29. If we take a look at all of this, we're still dealing with a pretty major B. Goldman thinks we're going to 120 before it's over. Several years ago, the low was 118. So we've got volume supporting the market down here in the 28, 85, 90 area. And we've got volume up here capping the rallies in the 40 to 50 area. So 45, 55 is sell one. And our 65, 75 is sell two. I don't see how we can get above 50 without really bad retail sales numbers this morning. So we'll make 29, 29, 10 buy one. Give it some room to the downside. Why? It's a B. May have to pay up. I mean, the support might be in the 15 to 25 area. Don't know. We got 20. The bottom of value right here might be where support comes in. But we do have news. We can come back and adjust it after the news. And then we got the bottom of value way down here. So 75 to 85 would be buy two. So crude oil now. Crude had a pretty good rally yesterday. Really couldn't tie it to any piece of news. We left yesterday's market wanting to sell into overnight strength. Yesterday's sales in crude was 93.50 to 93.75, and we got it briefly right here in Q&R period. So the idea of being a seller in the overnight session has produced some trading profits so far. So we've got ourselves a seller in the 93.75, 94 area. It keeps coming down. Crude oil is telling us that things in the Middle East aren't going to get out of hand quickly. That the Iraqi oil supply is not really threatened right now. And, you know, if you look in lawless parts of the world where there is no rule of law, where you don't have a way of settling problems via a court system or negotiation. If it's tribally based, your source of power and your protection comes through the tribe. And the Middle East is filled with tribal rule, tribal affiliations. So if you're a Sunni-based tribe on the west side of Baghdad, then affiliating or allying with ISIS would make some sense if you are going to keep your head. If you're not going to keep your head, it doesn't make sense. So without these Sunnis, Ramadi, places west of Baghdad, throwing in with ISIS, it's going to be hard for them to take the oil fields. So the threat of losing oil is not there. Russia, the Ukraine sanctions, it's amazing how silent the sanctions have been against Germany. No new steps were taken by Russia, and there's two reasons for that. Number one, Germany's the largest Western investor in Russia, and they're also the largest user of natural gas. Russia needs the cash flow. They won't cut off their nose to spite their face. They're going to pick up the slack. It'll take time to get those pipelines built to China and India, but that's coming. So these people are practical. They're not fools. They understand the writing on the wall. They act in their own national interest, as you would think a country would. And they don't, I mean, they're realists. They're not trapped in la-la land. So, but Germany and Russia have pretty close ties, and they are talking regularly about what to do about the Ukraine. So the Ukrainian-Russian problem probably stays where it is right now. Russia will end up with a land bridge to the Crimea, which is what they've needed from day one. Now they've got it. Well, they take up one more city, and then people will sit back and see what Russia does next. So crude oil, we got volume down here at 91.50, and we've got sellers in the 93.50 area. We're right now at 93, so we're at the top end of the band. We can think about selling. So I think the market's going to retest that breakout at 92.50. So the issue is whether can 92.50 hold or not. If we take 15 handles off 93.70, that puts us down into this 93.20 area. So 93.23, 92.25 to 50 will be buy one. And then 91.50 to 75 will be buy two. On the sell side, last rotate up stopped at 23. We're currently at 91. It is very, very aggressive, but 93, 93.25 is sell one, and then 50 to 75 is sell two. Well, you know, China faces the same problem that large mutual funds have, Charles. I mean, if you got $50 billion in your mutual fund, there is no meaningful way you can lessen your exposure or hedge away the risk of the stock market. So China may not buy as many treasuries from us in the future as they have, but if they're going to export more to the United States than they're going to import from us, they have to buy something in the United States. The capital account at the end of every year is zero. So they've got to buy services, they've got to buy real estate, they've got to buy companies in the United States, or they have to buy our paper, which would be stocks or bonds. So from time to time, they make a big deal out of lightening their purchases of U.S. securities, but they never entirely quit. And the reason they don't entirely quit is because they have nobody, they couldn't export as much to us as they have, and they count on exporting us to keep their economy going. That's why when China blusters and talks about how they're going to kick our rear ends and do all this sort of stuff, you have to take it with a grain grain of salt. They don't have to kick our rear ends to get what they want. If they did get out there and try to kick our rear ends, they'd lose a good portion of their economy. So they can't really liquidate. I mean, how do you get rid of $1 trillion worth of U.S. Treasuries? You can get rid of them by letting them mature and not buying many of them, but you can't go out and dump them on the market without screwing yourself. So, just like Fidelity can't go dump stocks and get out of the stock market. I mean, they're in the stock market and they will prosper as long as the stock market prospers over time. And when the stock market no longer prospers, they'll have to find something else to do. Okay, the E-mini, this is the December contract. The September contract still riding at 9 high. Convergence to September prices over a week to 10 days is usually what we do. So yesterday we had a P. We ended with a P, and when you look at this, it ended strong. And right now we're at 90. So our 94, 95 allows this P to fulfill itself. So our first sell. And my guess is the news is going to be supportive, so we'll have to adjust after the news. So sell 1 will be 94, 96. Sell 2 will be 99, 2001. Playing for some convergence there. On the buy side, last rotate down stopped at 82. Then at 85, so this 85 plus or minus will be buy 1. Maybe 84, 86, and then buy 2 will be our 79, 81. News is supposed to be supportive, so they're looking at retail sales plus 0.6, ex-auto is the market's focus, plus 0.3, and Michigan sentiment at 83.4. Import prices minus 0.1, minus 1%. Export prices minus 0.1, and business inventories at plus 0.4. No one will pay any attention to. So if we don't get the news that we want, we'll be lowering our sell zone into the 90 area right here. So we're going to give it a little room for news, and we're going to come back and we will adjust it. That's all I have. It'll take about 20 minutes to get everything up and posted. Going to get busy on it right now. Be back as fast as I can.